London's Guardian and the American left are demanding that Donald Trump not avenge the death of Charlie Kirk because it will further divide the country. The president is having none of it.
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy.
He knows that Charlie Kirk's assassination is only the latest round in the now 10-year seditious conspiracy against our nation. Exacting real justice for Charlie can finally end it. I'm Barbara Boyd, and I'm the co-author of the Promethean Action ebook, A Police Dossier. It's the British who murder our presidents. You can read it by going to the Promethean Action store and downloading it. The link is in the description. Today, I'm going to first do an update about what we can say we know about the assassination and warn you that the internet is full of intelligence operations aimed to confuse you or worse about what is happening. Then I'm going to talk about how Charlie Kirk is already becoming more powerful in death than in life. Finally, I'll talk about the implications of investigating George Soros criminally, which President Trump said he's going to do in his Fox and Friends interview Friday. So what do we know versus the garbage on the internet? Tyler Robinson, 22, was arrested after he was identified by a family friend from the pictures circulated by the FBI. His father turned him in. The identification and arrest was accomplished in 33 hours. Now, search warrants for his computers, his social media, his phone, and interviews of those closest to him are being executed and will tell us a lot more factually in the next 72 hours. The writings on his shell casings include well-known slogans from the terrorist group Antifa and video game memes. Antifa and a related support operation, Refuse Fascism, have been involved in violent riots against Donald Trump since Inauguration Day in 2017. As we've documented in our police dossier, British intelligence has instigated each wave of anti-Trump operations. Just as a reminder, here's the cover of the London Spectator as an example from January of 2017. In his Fox and Friends interview, President Trump said the country will only be unified when its economic policies succeed. Here he is again.
The only thing that's going to bring us together is tremendous success.
When the nation has a mission to rebuild, to go forth as Genesis commands and multiply and subdue the earth, we become something greater than ourselves. We fulfill our identity in God's continuing creation as productive human beings. The internet is filled right now with conspiracy theories of every sort about Charlie's assassination, rage against those investigating it, and amateur speculation about the crime scene, not to mention the grotesque celebration on liberal and mainstream media news sites. Some of this comes from the reflexive belief that we are being lied to again, and there could not possibly be just one assassin. There is also a lot of foreign intelligence input there aimed to divide us. People forget that all those prior assassinations were before the internet, and before the internet became a weapon of psychological warfare. Charlie Kirk talked about this himself in a post discussing what he called an assassination culture. Over and over again, lies about Trump as Hitler are written with the knowledge and hope that it will trigger some mentally imbalanced person to act. When that mentally imbalanced assassin is identified, they're either dead by suicide or, like Ryan Roth, the Florida assassin, defending himself alone in a criminal trial. For years, intelligence mind control experiments aimed to create exactly this type of brainwashed assassin, a kind of robot who can't be named or traced to his or her creator. Now, if this work is helping you make sense of this, please go to Promethean Action now and subscribe to our newsletter. Now, Charlie is becoming much bigger in death than in life. Here is Charlie talking about how he wanted to be remembered.
How do you want to be remembered?
I mean, if I die?
Everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
Charlie told his wife, Erica, that if he ever ran for president, his main priority would be to restore the American family. Last night, Erica Kirk developed a powerful message to the nation about her husband and about the future.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
She vowed, like President Trump, that the movement Charlie built would now grow enormously. She also said God's goodness was far more powerful than all the evil in the world, just as she told us that she somehow found a way to answer her 3-year-old's question about where her daddy was. She reminded me last night of Saint Joan of Arc, God's chosen warrior on a mission to free France. Joan was burned at the stake, but her death inspired a subjugated French population to free themselves and become the world's first nation state. Charlie Kirk set out to rescue our nation's young people from the culture which was killing them. His openness, his yearning for truth, his willingness to discuss ideas with anyone on the basis of their dignity as a human being, his optimism created a trust in those who met him. He changed as he grew. His initial sponsors and donors were central to George Bush's awful Republican Party. But he changed his views on foreign policy, war and peace, and the nature of the economy based on his conversations with President Trump and his deliberations on those ideas with God and his people. That personality and that mission touched people's souls deeply. Throughout the country and the world now, there are prayerful vigils for Charlie. Even Reuters was forced to acknowledge the vast outpouring of grief and renewal. Our present Democratic Party, our elites, and our universities are in the complete grip of a foreign ideology. It's not typical Marxism or even communism. Rather, it's the invented ideology of the Frankfurt School, a bunch of Satanist philosophers who invented a new secular religion at the end of World War II, which stood for obliterating Western civilization. When you hear the word authoritarian personality, you are hearing their work. Herbert Marcuse, Theodor Adorno, Max Horkheimer, Hannah Arendt, Erich Fromm were key figures in this school, but none was more important than George Lukács. Lukács invented what is called Western Marxism or critical theory as it is taught in our universities today. Lukács said that communism could not be successfully imposed where Judeo-Christian culture was dominant, where reason and technological progress were dominant, where people believed that the world had not been abandoned by God. He set out to destroy anything which fostered cultural optimism. Patriarchy, the family, education, reason, and science had to be eliminated in order to produce his favorite state, a kind of cultural pessimism in which we dehumanize others and lose our own humanity as well. Now, if you appreciate what we just said, please like and share this video. It increases our reach on YouTube. So what about what Donald Trump said about prosecuting George Soros under RICO? Here's what he said.
We're going to look into Soros because I think it's a RICO case against him and other people. Because this is more than like protests. This is real agitation. This is riots on the street. And we're going to look into it.
The 10-year attack on our nation has been funded by a network of foundations, many of them with intelligence community connections and foreign support, specifically British foreign support. George Soros' Open Society Foundation is a critical hub of all of these funders. Soros' son now runs this enterprise, and if you pull on this string, you hit the dirtiest elements of the deep state in the State Department, the CIA, the National Endowment for Democracy, USAID, the media, the Defense Department or War Department now, British and NATO intelligence, and the British Foreign Office. Neutralizing this network through prosecution and defunding is critical to our nation's survival and for justice for Charlie Kirk. If we act now, the sedition and treason which has plagued our nation for a decade will finally have met its match. President Trump's promise to prosecute George Soros under RICO isn't just about justice for Charlie. It's about dismantling the entire network that has funded violence against our president, against our Constitution. This battle will determine the 2026 midterm elections. They killed Charlie Kirk because they feared what he represented, a new generation of Americans who refuse to surrender their birthright to foreign ideologies and domestic enemies. But as his widow Erica said last night, they have no idea what they've unleashed. The fire Charlie lit will not be extinguished. It will burn until every last vestige of this conspiracy is exposed and destroyed. This is how we honor our dead in this country, by completing their mission. Unlike many internet influencers, we here at Promethean Action are not paid by foreign governments or lobbyists for our work. We are completely dependent on our subscribers for our growth, and that growth is more urgent than ever now, given the events of this week. Please go to Promethean Action and subscribe or donate. I'll see you again on Monday.
Thanks for watching. Please take a moment and subscribe to our free newsletter at prometheanaction.com.